Parents ignore daughter for son's startup, surprisingly contact her after financial crisis. Sofia had always felt like a shadow in her own home. Her family's dinner table was a stage, and her brother, Jake, was the shining star. With every success of his tech startup, their parents beamed with pride, their eyes glinting with admiration, as though Sofia didn't even exist. The exclusion stung like salt in her heart. She hated the feeling, but it was hard to ignore. It was as if every room in their house echoed with his accomplishments, and Sofia's dreams were muffled whispers. Then came the news. Jake's company, once a beacon of innovation, crumbled like a house of cards. One Friday night, the evening news flashed a headline that sent shockwaves through their world. $1 million startup collapses amid financial turmoil. Sofia watched her brother's face sink, and in that moment, pity brushed against her resentment. How strange life could be. Days passed, and the air hung heavy with a strange uncertainty. Silence filled their home, thick enough to cut. But then, out of the blue, her parents called. They wanted to speak to Sofia. Confusion painted her features as she picked up the phone. "Can you come home?" her mother said, voice trembling with an urgency that immediately set her heart racing. Sofia's mind raced too. Why now? Why her when they had ignored her for so long? Walking into the house felt like stepping onto a battlefield. Jake sat there, the weight of the world pressing down on him. But it was her parents' faces that caught her eye, stormy with anxiety. "We need help," her father said, voice low. But there was a crack in it, a crack that startled her. "Your brother, he's lost it all. We thought you could—" Sofia clenched her fists to suppress the anger boiling inside her. How could they expect her to swoop in and save the day when they had barely acknowledged her existence before? But then a new thought prickled her mind. What if she did have something to offer? What if the secrets lurking in her inheritance could provide the answers they were desperately seeking? Rumors rustled through town about hidden debts and risky ventures. Whispers that Jake had gambled away not just his fortune, but possibly hers as well. Heart racing, she excused herself, her legs trembling as she stepped outside to gather her thoughts. The night air bit at her skin, but it cleared her mind. A storm was brewing, and she could feel it, a hurricane of old wounds and unspoken truths. Taking a deep breath, Sofia stood at the crossroads of forgiveness and independence. Would she step into the role her family had carved out for her? A potential rescuer? Or would she break free from the chains of expectations and forge her own path? Just then, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number flickered into existence on her screen. "You don't know everything about your inheritance yet." Her heart dropped, pulse quickening. What secrets lay hidden in her family tree? She fought the urge to panic. She had to find out. But at what cost? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I have to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube canceled their subscriptions without warning. Just check out the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And while you're there, leave that like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching the channel from? I love meeting all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes a difference. Let's interact. Sofia stood outside, shivering as the wind tugged at her hair. The message blinked on her phone like a warning light. Rattling in her hands, "You don't know everything about your inheritance yet." She read it again, heart racing, the weight of the words heavy. What secrets? Her mind spun, uncertainty battling curiosity. The door creaked behind her. "Sofia!" Her mother's voice cut through the chill. Concern etched across her face. "Come back in. We need to talk." There was a pleading in her eyes that made Sofia hesitate. Did they really need her now? Taking a deep breath, she pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air was thick, a mix of unspoken tension and collected fears. Jake sat huddled on the couch, shoulders slumped, as he stared blankly at the floor. Their father paced like a caged animal, anxiety radiating off him in waves. We really need to figure this out," Father mumbled, scrubbing a hand down his face. "Things are, well, they've gotten worse." Jake looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. "I didn't want it to crash, Soph. I thought I could turn it around. I thought we were secure." His voice cracked, exposing the rawness beneath his bravado. Sofia's heart twisted. The brother she'd resented seemed so fragile now, but the sting of being overlooked burned in her chest. She took a step back, shaking her head, refusing to engage in this role they'd thrust upon her. "You ignored me when I needed support. Why should I help?" Her voice trembled with anger. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. Another message. This time it was the same unknown number. "You're closer than you think. Meet me at the old warehouse on 3rd. Sofia's breath hitched. What was happening? The urgency clawed at her insides. I need to go. Something." But before she could finish, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen. Everyone froze, the air thick with shock. A cupboard door swung open, and dishes rattled ominously. They rushed in. The chaos of shattered porcelain and glass sprawled across the floor. Their mother gasped, hand clasped over her mouth. This can't be happening. Her eyes darted around, searching for answers. But beneath the clamor, a sound emerged, a soft whimper. They all froze, their hearts pounding in anticipation. "What is that?" Sofia's voice almost drowned in the tension. It wasn't just chaos. Something deeper was amiss. Heart racing, she followed the sound. Moving cautiously, she bent down to peer under the table where the noise was coming from. Her breath caught. A small dog, trembling, cowered under the furniture, its fur matted with dirt, eyes wide with fear. "Oh my God, where did that come from?" her mother exclaimed, stunned. Sofia felt a pang of sympathy, but then something else, a twisting knot of even deeper confusion. "What's going on?" she asked, puzzled. Who would abandon a dog here in their family's chaos? As they gathered around the creature, an unsettling thought crept in. Was this dog a sign? A distraction? Or a cry for help amidst their own turmoil? And then just like that, Sofia's phone buzzed again, and the message read, "It's not just about the money. It's about loyalty. Don't forget who's really at stake." Panic surged. What did this mean? Secrets, lies, and now a mysterious dog? The room felt suffocating, the air heavy as the truth hung just out of reach. Everything she thought she knew shattered like glass on the floor, leaving jagged edges in her mind. What was the connection? Sofia's heart raced. Who could she trust? Would she be the one to unravel the truth? Or would the weight of it all crush her? The dog let out a soft whine, echoing her own rising anxiety. What had she stepped into? Everything hung in the balance, and the answers loomed like a storm on the horizon. Sofia knelt beside the trembling dog, her heart a chaos of emotions. The dog's whimper seemed to reach into her own despair, mirroring the confusion swirling around her. She wanted to comfort the creature, but the echo of the earlier message replayed in her mind like a haunting melody. It's not just about the money. It's about loyalty. Before she could act, Jake's voice cracked through the tension. Sof, please, we need you. I messed up. I thought I was stronger. His eyes glimmered with unshed tears, pulling on her heartstrings despite her fury. She took a breath, caught between anger and a desire to help. Suddenly, another loud crash erupted from the kitchen. Adrenaline surged through her as they all turned, eyes wide with dread. They rushed back, and what they found stopped them in their tracks. A glass jar, off the counter, shattered on the floor, spilling its contents. It wasn't just glass. Papers, letters, and old photographs scattered across the linoleum like confetti in a chaotic storm. "What the heck?" Sofia murmured, kneeling to gather the fragments. Then her fingers brushed against something cold, something metal. She lifted it, a locket, tarnished and heavy in her palm. Where did this come from? Her mother exclaimed, but the urgency drained from her voice as she caught sight of what was spilled around them. Sofia's heart raced as she opened the locket. The picture inside was a faded photograph of a woman she didn't recognize. She looked remarkably like her mother, yet distinctly different. The resemblance made her stomach flip, sending shockwaves through her mind. Who was this woman? Who is she? Sofia asked, her voice barely a whisper. Jake leaned over, and his face paled as he caught the glimpse. I don't know. Mom! Their mother took a step back, her lips pressed tightly together, eyes darting away as if trying to escape the binding weight of the truth. Put that down, Sofia. Why? Her voice sharpened, the need for answers bubbling into urgency. Why are you acting like this? Is she family? Is she... Before she could finish, another message blinked on her phone. This time, more alarming than the last. You're about to find out who you really are. Check the attic. Sofia's heart pounded. Everything was spinning, blurring the lines of trust in a family that had already felt broken. I need to go. Sofia. Wait! Her father called, but she was already moving, fueled by a wave of questions and the persistent urge to uncover the truth that had eluded her for so long. The stairs creaked under her weight as she climbed, the air growing stale and heavy. The attic door was slightly ajar, like an invitation laced with danger. As she pushed it open, an array of boxes greeted her, memories neatly packed away, or so she thought. A sudden gust swept through the attic, chilling her to the bone. She felt a shiver, half from the cold and half from an unexplained sense of foreboding. She began rifling through old keepsakes, her hands trembling with each item, and then she found it. A box marked with her name, hidden behind dusty relics. Inside was an assortment of letters, all addressed to her. Her breath caught in her throat as she opened one. The handwriting was elegant, familiar, yet foreign. It told a story, a hidden family legacy, secrets that spread across generations. Each letter revealed a connection that left her shaken. Betrayals, heartaches, and a hidden sibling. Just then, a loud crash echoed from below, rattling the entire house. It sent a jolt through her, and the contents of the box slipped from her fingers, scattering like fallen leaves. "No!" Sofia yelled, scrambling to gather them. But the room spun, and she felt the weight of the world crash down on her. What was happening? Someone shouted her name, muffled by the walls, but she couldn't hear clearly. All she could feel was the storm of confusion tightening around her. Shouts faded into chaos as a truth whispered just out of reach. Lingering in the air like sharp glass. What else was hidden? What truths remained buried in her family's past? Would finding answers be the key to saving them all? Or was it just the beginning of something far more devastating? Sofia's hands trembled as she scooped up the scattered letters, her heart racing against the rising tension in her chest. Familiarity wrapped around her like a ghost, urging her to uncover the truth, but the crash from below fractured her focus. It was a jarring reminder that chaos was everywhere. In this family, there are secrets, she muttered, scanning the letters for answers. The attic felt like a trap, and shadows danced in the corners, mocking her search. She needed clarity, but all she felt was uncertainty. Then, just as she gathered her resolve, the door to the attic slammed shut. It echoed like a finality, jolting her. Sofia whipped around, panic flooding her senses. Thick darkness swallowed the room. "Hello?" she shouted, but only her voice bounced back, taunting her. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. She fumbled for it, her fingers cluttered with paper, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm. "You have to hurry," the screen read. "It's happening." "What's happening?" she whispered, fear snaking through her. The unknown loomed heavy, and the enveloping darkness felt suffocating. She edged toward the door, pulling on the handle. Locked. Panic surged. Downstairs, shouts erupted. "Jake, no!" Sofia's breath caught, her stomach knotting with dread. She banged on the door. "Let me out!" But the sounds below drowned her pleas. Crackling voices, footsteps rushing. The chaos intensified, swelling until it spilled over and crashed into silence. And then came a scream. A shrill, heart-wrenching wail that pierced the air. "Sofia, help me!" It was Jake. Sofia's heart dropped. She slammed her body against the door, her shoulder colliding with the frame. "Jake!" She yelled for him again, desperation clawing at her throat. The door splintered open, and she bolted down the stairs. It felt like running through molasses, every heartbeat pounding in her ears as she raced to the chaos below. The kitchen doors swung wildly on their hinges, revealing a nightmarish scene. Her parents stood frozen, faces blanched. They stared at Jake, who knelt on the floor, cradling something small and still, vulnerable in his arms. And then a revelation hit her. A small form to beside. The dog. But it wasn't alone. Another figure emerged from the shadows, a woman, pale as a ghost, with sharp features and lifeless eyes. She stepped into the light, revealing a striking resemblance to Jake and their mother. The reality crashed over Sofia like a wave, choking her breath. "Who are you?" she gasped, trying to process the uncanny sight. "I am the truth," the woman replied, voice cold. "Your family is not what you think it is." Jake's gaze darted from her to Sofia, wild with fear. What do you mean?" he stammered. "This dog," the woman continued, pointing at the small creature, "is a symbol of betrayal. You have far more to lose than you realize." Sofia's chest tightened, and a wave of nausea swept over her. "Betrayal? What are you talking about?" As if to answer, the woman reached into her coat, pulling out a thin, weathered piece of paper. "This," she voiced, voice dripping with derision, "holds the answer. Your family's legacy is in ruins. The debts are not just money. They are lives intertwined by one decision." Sofia stepped back, eyes wide. "You have to be lying! This is insane!" The woman smiled, but it didn't touch her eyes. "Look closer. The truth is often buried where you least expect it." With that, she tossed the paper at Sofia's feet. It fell like a weight, a silent promise of chaos to come. Sofia stared at it, breath heavy, knowing now there were even more secrets swirling in the shadows, threatening to tear apart the fragile bonds that held them together. The moment settled. Sofia glanced at Jake. His face was pale, lips trembling. "What did you do, Sof?" he breathed. "Me? This isn't about me." But as the certainty of the truth made its home in Sofia's heart, she wondered just how deep the roots of betrayal ran. Would she find the courage to unravel the mystery, or would the discovery destroy them all? The dog whimpered softly at her feet, and Sofia knew one thing for certain: nothing would ever be the same again. Sofia's mind spun as she stared at the woman who looked so much like her mother, the chilling truth resonating in the air. What do you mean, theirs?" "Betrayal?" she stammered, her heart pounding against her ribcage. The room felt heavier, as if the walls themselves were pressing in with the weight of unspoken words. Before the woman could answer, a loud crash echoed from outside, shattering the fragile tension. Everyone turned, the gravity of the moment momentarily forgotten. The front door swung open, and a group of people rushed in, faces panicked and wild. They were strangers, unfamiliar and intimidating, with eyes darting around the room, landing on Sofia, Jake, and their parents. "Sofia!" one of the men shouted, his voice thick with urgency. "We need to talk now!" "What's going on?" Sofia replied, stepping back as her fears ignited like a fire in her gut. The woman's expression flickered with a mix of anger and confusion. "Get away from her!" her father yelled, taking a protective stance. But the man ignored him, striding forward. "Sofia, listen!" He locked eyes with her, desperation etched on his features. "You don't know what's at stake. We've been looking for you." "Looking for me? Why?" She crossed her arms, confusion overwhelming. What did these strangers want with her? The woman spoke again, voice laced with tension. "They're connected to the past, your past." "Enough! What is going on?" Jake shouted, voice shaking. The man glanced at Jake, then back to Sofia, his gaze piercing. "There's money involved. Hidden funds. From your inheritance? It all leads back to a deal your family made. A dangerous one." Sofia's heart raced. "What deal? What do you mean?" At that moment, the last traces of calm shattered. Another crash, this one closer, rattled the windows. Something or someone was coming, and they knew it. The room held its breath. Their mother's face twisted in fear. "We need to leave! They're coming for us!" The woman stepped forward, eyes wild with urgency. "It's not just the money they want. It's you, Sofia. You're the key." "What do you mean?" The weight of her words gripped Sofia like a vice. "Your birthright is more than wealth. It's power," the woman declared, her icy glare unwavering. "You're in danger." Before Sofia could respond, the door burst open again. A figure appeared, tall and cloaked in shadows, face obscured. The energy shifted instantly, panic flooding the room. "Get down!" the man yelled, pushing Sofia behind him. "Stay back!" The cloaked figure stepped forward, revealing a face she recognized all too well. Her heart sank. Mom? It wasn't her mother. It was her mother's twin, the sister no one ever talked about. They had hidden the truth all these years. The twins' eyes gleamed with malice, lips twisted into a cold smile. "Did you really think you could escape me?" she sneered. "Your inheritance belongs to me now." Sofia's breath hitched, the world tilting on its axis. "No, no!" Confusion gripped her. "What do you mean?" The twins stepped closer, laughter spilling from her lips. You're part of a game you didn't even know you were playing. Realization crashed over Sofia like a tidal wave. Her life was a lie. Secrets tangled deep in her family's legacy threatened to consume her. Could she trust anyone in this room? And just like that, the stakes soared higher. A web of betrayal and family ties tightening around her. With every heartbeat, she could feel the storm brewing and the truth lurking just beneath the surface. The question hung in the air like smoke from a fire. Who was she really? And what else had her family hidden? Everything felt frozen. Sofia's heart raced as she faced the woman who looked like her mom, but wasn't. The panic hung in the air, thick like fog. The words "family game" echoed in her mind, twisting like a knife. Jake flinched, the tension ratcheting up around him. The kitchen fell silent, eyes darting between the mysterious woman and the family. "You can't just show up like this!" he shouted, a mix of fear and fury igniting. "What do you want?" "I want what's mine," the twin replied, but her gaze shifted to Sofia. "And you need to understand your place in this." Then, like a sudden shift in the wind, a blaring noise erupted from the back of the house. A siren. It howled, drowning out their voices. She felt the walls pulse with urgency, her blood racing. "What's happening?" "Run!" the man shouted. But before anyone could move, the front door burst open again. A group of uniformed officers stormed in, guns drawn. "What the hell?" their mother cried out, pulling Jake closer. Sofia felt a lump in her throat, panic pushing her to the edge. The officer shouted commands, eyes scanning the chaos. "On the ground, now! Do what they say!" the woman screamed, but fear twisted her own face. This was spiraling out of control. The officers moved in. The tension crackled. Sofia's pulse raced. She glanced back at the woman. "Is this about you?" But before she could respond, another voice rang out. A chilling, familiar voice. "Stop!" Sofia's heart sank deeper than she thought possible. It was her dad, stepping between the officers and the terrifying scene behind him, hands raised. "This isn't what it looks like." "Get behind us, sir," an officer barked. "We've got a situation." The woman's eyes darted to her father with a wild confusion. "What have you done?" she whispered. Everything felt like it was slowing down, the room vibrating with unspoken truths. A deep breath sucked the air from Sofia's lungs. She felt the world tilt. "Dad, just tell me." But the officer cut her off. "Ma'am, step back now." And then her dad did the unthinkable. He stepped forward, chin lifted defiantly. "You don't understand. I said back away." The woman lunged, a desperate movement that sent Sofia reeling. "No!" But before she could reach her father, a loud crack echoed. A gunshot. Everything went silent for a heartbeat. Sofia's breath caught, eyes wide with horror. She turned, feeling every beat of her heart thunder in her ears. The world blurred, colors fading into gray. Then came the scream, her mother's voice slicing through the chaos. "No!" Sofia's body froze. Time stood still. She couldn't breathe. The reality crashing over her like a wave. Everything unraveled in that moment. Her dad collapsed to the ground, blood pooling around him. The woman fell to her knees, face pale with shock. "What have you done?" she choked out, eyes wide. But there were no answers, just the monstrous echo of the gunshot hanging in the air, thick with death and betrayal. Reality twisted. Her entire life felt like a lie. Relationships shattered. The truths they buried came crawling back, seeped in blood. Sofia's mind spun. What do we do? All she could see was the pain, the betrayal, etched on everyone's faces, especially her own. Everything she thought was real still teetered on the brink of darkness. The siren wailed outside, now mingling with chaos, sealing their fate. This was more than a family caught in a web of lies. It was a nightmare nobody could wake from. And in the eye of the storm, Sofia realized no one would be the same again. Not after this. The secrets tangled tighter, and they had only just begun to unravel. What would happen next? Who would they become? Sofia's heart raced as chaos enveloped her. The smell of blood filled the air, and she felt dizzy. Her father lay on the floor, life slipping away with each shallow breath. The room pulsed with a heavy tension, fear wrapping around them like a thick fog. Her mother screamed, rushing to their dad, cradling him in her arms. "No, no, no!" Tears streamed down her face, and gasps shook her body. Jake stood frozen, eyes wide, torn between disbelief and horror. Sofia stumbled backward, the weight of what just happened anchoring her feet to the ground. The officer shouted for everyone to clear the way, voice strained with urgency. Sofia couldn't process it all. Emotions whirled in her chest. Fear, anger, sorrow. Her family was unraveling, and she felt trapped in the eye of the storm. The hooded figure, the woman who had been a twin, stood silently, eyes betraying a flicker of grief. "This was not meant to happen," she murmured, almost to herself, as if she had orchestrated some macabre play gone wrong. Sofia could hardly comprehend the shifting shades of guilt and rage brewing inside her. "This is your fault," Sofia spat, pointing an accusing finger at her. "You showed up here and ruined everything." "No," the woman shouted back, her voice sharp, desperate. She took a step forward, but froze as the officer aimed his weapon at her. The air thickened, filled with uncertainty. Just when Sofia thought the tension couldn't rise higher, their mother let out a shriek that split the air. "Look!" Everyone turned to see her pointing at their father's hand. Something glimmered, spilling from his fingers, a silver ring glistening under the kitchen lights. It wasn't an ordinary ring. It glowed with an intensity that pulled Sofia in like a moth to a flame. "What is that?" Jake whispered, eyes fixed on the glimmering treasure. "I don't know," Sofia shouted, her heart pounding. Yet something in her spine prickled with awareness. Had she seen it before? That symbol? It was familiar, almost too familiar. The woman stepped forward again, her features twisting with recognition and fear. "No, that's—" But before she could finish, a sudden explosion of dark blue light erupted from the ring, snapping everyone to attention. The world shifted, colors bleeding into one another, and the sound of shattering glass rang out, echoing off the walls. Sofia felt herself falling, weightless, swept into the chaos that spun around her. Voices collided and blurred. She aimed for the ground, but found nothing beneath her. She was falling, endless and free, until everything went black. Then, like a light breaking through the darkness, Sofia found herself standing in the same kitchen, untouched. The scene unfolded before her. Their father, whole and alive, their mother unbroken, smiles lighting their faces. But as confusion swirled, Sofia noticed one glaring difference. The woman was there too, but younger, more vibrant, with hope shining in her eyes. "What's happening?" Sofia urged, but the woman turned slowly to her. Eyes wide with recognition. "Do you remember?" she whispered, as if remembering something long buried, a key that had been lost. Sofia's heart raced, memories flickering like shadows in her mind. "What do you mean?" A sharp gasp echoed, and Sofia turned to see her father's eyes grow dark, a veil of shadows creeping over his face. "We were never supposed to go down this path," he said, voice low, gravelly. "Wait!" Sofia's chest tightened. "What are you talking about? What path? Who are you?" "Everything you think you know is about to change," the woman replied, her tone urgent. The air crackled with anticipation, every second pulling tighter, straining against the truth that loomed. Just out of view, Sofia's breath caught in her throat. The weight of realization crashed into her. Were they trapped? Or was this a chance to rewrite everything? What had been done that could destroy them all again? Sofia's heart raced, caught in the whirlwind of confusion and revelations. The air was thick, every breath feeling heavy with the weight of the moment. Her father's words lingered, chilling the room, and for a second, she faltered. Just then, the lights flickered overhead, the brightness swinging dangerously between shadows and glare. It was as if the very house sensed the tension brewing within it, shifting in and out of focus. The flickering light pulsed like a heartbeat, heightening that sense of foreboding. Without warning, the front door slammed open, crashing against the wall. The sound echoed like thunder, jolting everyone from their fragile bubble of realization. In rushed the man, breathless, panic spilling from his eyes. "They're coming! We need to go now!" "Who?" Sofia's voice trembled with urgency. He glanced over his shoulder, face ashen. "The ones after your father. They found us." Jake froze, glancing between the man and Sofia. Shadows creeping over his features. "What are you talking about? Who's after Dad?" But before the man could answer, something dark loomed behind him. A figure emerged from the doorway, slick and menacing, stepping into the light. It was larger, taller, with an aura that filled the room with dread. "Stop!" The voice was familiar, chilling her to the bone. Sofia's breath caught. It belonged to the woman, the twin. But her expression was different now. No longer just a reflection of the past. She looked fierce, determined. "Enough games!" the woman shouted, tossing her long hair back, eyes blazing. "I did what I had to do to protect our family." Confusion rippled through the room. "Protect? You killed him!" Sofia cried, pointing at their father. "You're the reason all this is happening. Get away from us." "No," the woman said, shaking her head. "You don't understand. Your father made a deal with dark forces. If I hadn't come back..." And just like that, clarity shattered into chaos. Another figure emerged from the shadows. Sofia recognized his face. "Tom," she muttered, voice faltering. "What are you doing here?" Tom smirked, his eyes glinting with a cruel sheen. "I'm the one who pulled the strings all this time. Your father's secrets come at a price, and your inheritance is mine now." Sofia's mind swirled with disbelief. "This is insane. You're lying." But something flickered in the back of her mind. The money, the debts. Tom stepped closer. "Everything is connected, Sofia. Your father gambled, and now it's time to pay." Suddenly, the lights went out completely. Silence engulfed them, broken only by the sound of shuffling feet, breaths quickening. "No, not again!" A body collided with hers in the dark, warmth flooding her senses. "Soph!" Jake's whisper was a lifeline. "What's happening?" I don't know, she gasped, panic clawing at her throat. Tom, the woman, they're all connected. Then the lights flared back to life, and in their glow lay a shocking sight. Her father held the silver ring high, its light vibrating, filling the air with static energy. You don't understand the power this holds, he shouted, voice cracking. We can end this! But with a swift motion, Tom knocked it from his father's hands. The ring hit the floor, shattering into fragments, each piece exploding with blinding light. A wave of heat surged, forcing everyone to stagger back. No! Sofia cried, realizing too late what it meant. The truth wrapped tightly around them like a noose. With a deafening crash, the room erupted, white intertwined with darkness, their screams merging into a singular note of terror. As the dust settled, Sofia gasped, eyes widening. The woman, the twin, had vanished. Only the echo of her words remained, burning deep in Sofia's mind. You're the key. Where is she? Jake shouted, looking around, but his voice was lost amid the chaos. As confusion reigned, Sofia glimpsed movement in the corner of her eye. Shattering glass lay among the remnants of the ring, revealing secrets hidden in plain sight. And there, etched in the debris, a name stood out, one they'd never spoken before. Mom? But the moment hung heavy. The name twisted everything they thought they knew, and in its wake, they felt the world shift beneath their feet. Hope mingled with dread, and they stood on the precipice of another truth lurking just beyond their grasp. What did that name mean? Who were they, really? Sofia's mind raced as the fragments of the shattered ring scattered across the floor. Darkness filled the room, a suffocating silence settling like a fog. Her eyes darted from her father, now vulnerable, to the fierce woman who had shattered their reality. Everything she thought she knew began to twist like a dark fairy tale gone wrong. What do you mean, I'm the key? Sofia asked, voice trembling as if the air itself had thickened with tension. But just then, a shrill cry echoed from Jake. Soph, look! He was staring at the shards of the ring, eyes wide with realization. The pieces began to pulse and glow, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Every heartbeat felt frantic, as if the very air were charged with electricity. Then, in an instant, the shimmering fragments coalesced, forming an ethereal shape, the image of the woman who stood before them. It flickered, translucent and haunting, before solidifying and stepping forward, merging confusion and clarity. You think you know your family, but there are things even I buried deep. Sofia fought back a wave of nausea. What are you saying? The figure was her, an exact reflection of her, but older, wiser, and somehow frayed around the edges. I was you. The words fell like stones. The room spun, and Sofia felt the world tilt. You are a part of a lineage that has been curated through secrecy and pain. I had to leave to protect you. But now? Leave? Sofia whispered. What do you mean? I couldn't allow them to find you. Who? A voice interjected from behind, startling them all. Tom stepped forward, smirking as his eyes gleamed. Let me guess. You thought you'd keep her safe by disappearing? His laughter echoed like a ringing bell, crisp and mocking. But the truth is, Sofia, there's a reason this all happened. Your family has ties to something dark. Sofia's heart raced. What dark ties? I'm glad you asked. Tom's voice dripped with condescension. Secrets buried under decades of lies. You've been a pawn in a game much larger than you can comprehend. The air crackled with tension. Jake stepped closer, fists balled. "You're lying!" Tom's eyes sparkled with malice. "Am I?" "You." "Stand here clueless. But hey, maybe you'll get it soon." Then, chaos erupted. The ground trembled beneath them, and the walls shuddered as the figure of Sofia's past flickered back to life. "Run! Now!" she cried, the urgency in her voice slicing through the fear like a hot knife. Just outside, a deafening roar pierced the air, shaking the very foundation of their home. The door blew open, revealing a storm, a swirling mass of darkness and shadows, rushing in. It swept through like a tidal wave, threatening to engulf them all. Panic surged. "What is happening?" Sofia screamed, her voice lost in the chaos. Suddenly, the woman, the older version of Sofia, reached out, her hand grasping Sofia's. Their eyes locked, a torrent of emotion flooding the space between them. "You need to remember, Sofia. They're coming for you. They always have been." Before Sofia could protest, another flash of light from the fragments illuminated the room, revealing a hidden door they'd never noticed before. Swinging open just beyond the chaos, it pulsed with an almost magnetic energy, a lifeline extending into the unknown. "Go, now," the figure commanded, pulling Sofia toward the opening. Tom stepped forward, eyes wide with realization. "No, don't!" But it was too late. The ground beneath them exploded, debris flying as the wave of darkness surged closer. Sofia felt a rush of fear and determination as she glanced back at her family, all of them teetering on the brink of terror. In that heart-stopping moment, she realized something profound. I'm not just a pawn. I'm part of this legacy. The weight of the truth crashed over her, and before she could think, she lunged into the opening, hands stretched out in front of her, pulling Jake and the others in with her. As they disappeared into the void, the last thing she heard was Tom's anguished shout above the roar. "You can't escape your fate!" A blinding light enveloped them, and Sofia felt her world tilt once more. But this time, she was ready to face whatever came next. What kind of legacy awaited her? What truths were still hidden? The questions loomed as they vanished beyond the threshold, leaving everything they once knew behind. Sofia stumbled forward as the light engulfed them, a whirlwind of colors and sensations. It felt different, warmth wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. As the brightness began to dim, she found herself standing in an unfamiliar place. A vast meadow under a sun so vibrant it made the world glow. "Where are we?" Jake asked, squinting at the brightness. Their surroundings felt peaceful, yet an undercurrent of intensity still lingered in the air. The older version of Sofia stood beside her, a gentle smile tugging at her lips. "This is a safe space, a moment to breathe, to understand." She gestured around, sweeping her hand to take in the beauty of the meadow. "But it's fleeting. We need to act quickly." "What do we do?" Sofia's voice trembled, hope and fear mingling in her chest. The woman took a deep breath, her gaze piercing through the warmth. "Remember your family, the ties that bind you, your choices. How you wield that power will shape everything." Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to tremble. A shadow flickered at the edges of the meadow, pulling Sofia's attention. "What's happening?" she cried out, heart racing as she felt the air thicken. A storm brewing just beyond sight. "Your past is catching up with you," the woman shouted, urgency filling her voice. "You must decide who you will be." The meadow began to fade, and with it, the woman. "Find the truth, Sofia. It's in you." And just like that, she vanished, leaving only echoes of hope. Darkness enveloped Sofia and Jake again, dragging them back into chaos. With frantic hearts, they pressed forward, seeking the hidden door, the gateway to their unknown fate. Together, they emerged, heart in throat, into the rubble of their former life. Tom stood waiting, holding the remnants of the shattered ring, a sneer painted across his face. "You thought that was the end? Welcome back to reality. Get away from us," Jake shouted, fists clenched at his sides. Defiance ringing strong. But there was fear lingering just beneath the surface. "No," Sofia stepped forward, her voice steady and clear. "You don't control us." Tom's expression shifted, the amusement draining away. "You think that's enough? You have the choices to make now, but can you bear the weight?" Sofia gazed at her family, their faces etched with fear and determination. She could almost feel the energy between them. This was her moment. "We will face this together," she declared. "No more hiding. No more lying. We stand united." Tom's dark laughter echoed, sharp and brittle. "You think you can change the game?" In that moment, the shards of the ring began to glow, brightening the space around them. "You have no idea what you're up against," Sofia replied, confidence building. "We are stronger than you think." With a roar, she reached for the light, feeling it pour into her veins. The power surged, a fierce resistance blossoming within. The shadows twisted, recoiling from the brightness, as Sofia and Jake stepped forward together, side by side. "Enough!" Sofia shouted, grasping Jake's hand tight. "We will take back what belongs to us." As the light exploded, engulfing them both, Tom's face shifted to one of sheer panic. "No, you can't!" But the world around them shattered, and in an instant, they were standing on the other side. A realm where secrets met truths, illuminated by the weight of their choices. "What now?" Jake whispered, eyes wide with wonder. Sofia took a deep breath, feeling the strength of her family beside her. "Now we uncover the truth together." She looked around, excitement coursing through her. "And we finally forge our path." And as they set forth into the unknown, the future bloomed with endless possibilities, secrets, untold stories, and perhaps new adventures waiting just beyond the horizon. But one question remained, waiting to be answered. How would they define their legacy in the light of truth? With a spark of hope igniting in her heart, Sofia felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. Before you go, I need you to immediately subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss out on exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button right now. It helps feed the algorithm and get this story to more amazing fans like you. And make sure to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. I want to hear what you think. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this outcome. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait one more second.